Hello everyone, my name is Erik and welcome to my YouTube channel. In this episode, we're going to try to create an online learning website. So we're going to create a homepage for it for desktop using Figma. To begin with, let's name our project Learn. And then we grab a new frame, a default one for desktop, which is 1440 by 1024. We name our frame as desktop-homepage. You can name it whatever you want, but since this is for desktop, then it's best to label it correctly. At the moment, we don't have any grids, so we will create a new one. We are going to select column and then make 12 columns because this is like a default for Bootstrap and most responsive frameworks. I'm gonna set the width as 65 or maybe 70, but the gutters will be 20 pixels. So yeah, I'm gonna change this to 70. That's it. I think our grid is good. Now we're going to create the top navigation bar. So the top navigation bar is a full device width. So you can see it goes beyond the grids because it stretches in. When we create it in the website, it's supposed to stretch. Now it's time to pick a color. Maybe something like a darker shade of purple. Yeah, I think this is fine. So this is how to toggle. These are the shortcut keys to toggle show rulers or layout guides or pixel grids or even outlines. These are important shortcut keys to learn or to memorize as you do your design. It makes you design faster. Okay, so we're making a placeholder box for our logo. I'm not sure what our logo looks like at the moment, so we'll just put something there. Then we're gonna put text browse, the first navigation element. Alright, I'm using Serra Basic. It's actually a paid font I bought at Design Cut. You can use something else like any default or whatever font you have. Then we need to select the chevron icon, so that's why I went to plugins. Use Iconify because I'm gonna add a chevron that's pointing down, like a drop down arrow. So I'm gonna look for a chevron that's a bit rounded to match with our design, which is a bit fun and homey, not something sharp on the edges. Yeah, I think this one looks good. So I'm just gonna drag it. I'm not sure how you do it, but for me, I'm just dragging it. Others, I think, are double clicking it, or there's an add icon. But then we're gonna add another text, which is workshops. So there you go. That's our two main navigation items. Then we're creating a search box. Gonna make the height as 36. Gonna center it vertically on our main nav bar. Okay, now here I'm going to select it based on the color of the main nav bar. So, and then just make it a bit lighter. We can actually also reduce the saturation as you go lighter. Because I'm not going to add borders. This is another type of creating form fields or search boxes where you don't add borders. You just make it a bit lighter than the background color of where it is placed on. So it's important to find icons that are of the same family, or if not, then they must like look good together, like they match. So this one we are looking for like rounded edges. Then we will put our placeholder text. What do you want to learn today? Yeah, I think we can make this regular font, not bold, because this is just a placeholder text, so it needs to be a bit smaller. And like needs to be a bit lighter text in the color too. Okay, here you go. Again, I'm gonna select the color of the background and then make it a bit lighter. So this way, you know that your color, not just any lighter color, but it's based off on the background color that you have existed. So it's like root color, and then select a lighter version of it. But I think the text is not readable, so I'm gonna make it a bit more lighter. Yeah, I think that's fine. It's not white, it's again a very light shade of an existing color we have. And as you notice, you have already created a few different shades of the same color. So the best thing to do is start creating your color palette and saving them. So we select this darkest one. And then we create the styles for it. Like basically saving these colors. I'm just going to make these multiple boxes and then save them as a color style. So I don't know, learn or edu. Any name will do, but something that is like relevant to your project. Then name it as primary because this is our primary color. So that's it. Also the numbering, I've set it as 400 because it's like regular. It's the base color. Then if it's a bit lighter, then it becomes 300, and a bit more lighter is a bit 200. So this is our 400. This is our 300. It's supposed to be 200. So this is a 100 now because this is the lightest. Yeah, we just go back and rename it to 200. Then I think it's time that we should create like an accent color as a lighter shade, but maybe of a different hue, because this will become very monochromatic if we use the same hue. So we just find something that would blend. This is where you can also look for color palettes like Adobe's color and other color palette generators. But I'm just gonna like eyeball it and set our white. So this is how I do it. Like as I don't prepare the color guides or the font styles beforehand, but I just design it, and as I go, I'd create the color styles and then the fonts as I go, and then some of the iconography. Okay, here I'm just gonna try to centralize it and align some of the elements in the search box. Alright, we go to plugins again, go to Iconify, and then we'll put our notifications icon. So like before, we need to find an icon that coincides with or makes sense with our other icons in the website. So we have already the chevron, which has rounded edges, like, and then we had our search icon. So this one I think blends well, but as you can see, it has a 32 pixels stroke, which when we resized it, it maintained the stroke. What we can do is we need to outline the strokes so that when we make it smaller, you can see it also reduces the amount of the stroke. So I'm gonna demo to you the difference between an outlined stroke and a stroke that isn't outlined, like fixed in numbers. So as you resize it, the one on the right side is outlined. We're gonna outline it. So as you resize it, the outlined one reduces along with your scaling, but the one on the left still maintains 32 pixel stroke. So that's one thing to notice. Again, we're gonna duplicate our icon. I think that's it. That's a bit aligned. I just eyeballed it, and then we white. As you can see, when we are no longer using the text code FFF, but we are like starting to use the template. Okay, now we're going to create a call to action. I'm just trying to reduce the spaces of the elements, or maybe even the fonts, because it's a bit too crowded now up top. In this design, the logo and the call to action button is supposed to like stretch out because this is responsive. But we're just make things easier, we're just gonna keep it on the grid. Okay, now going back to our button. Copy the text. Bring the text to front. Then make it as Go Premium. So now we have the text and the background of our button. What we're gonna do, we are gonna change the color, and then just grab the colors from the color styles on the right. So again, we are no longer typing the hex codes. We are using the styles so that when we change it, on our color styles, they change together. Now we group it, and then we call it our call to action button. And then we add an auto layout on our CTA. You notice it? Yeah, I'm gonna bring it back. So we have a text and we have a background box rectangle. But we're gonna click on the group and we're gonna add auto layout. So it's just the text. The background box becomes part of the auto layout automatically, where it sets a defined padding like it was in CSS paddings. See, as you type longer text or shorter text, your box wraps it correctly. So there's not a defined width, but it's a defined padding. Then we're just gonna add a little bit of rounded edges, and that's it. That's our top navigation bar. At the moment, I'm not sure about the logo, so again, it's just placeholder. Okay, I think our header looks fine now. So yeah, I think it's time we start creating our hero image or our hero slider. So I'm just gonna create a box again. This box is like a responsive full width box. So it's gonna stretch across the device. So that's why I'm stretching it to 1440. It's beyond the grids. And as I'm setting the height as 300, or maybe even, let's try 360. See if it makes better. And then we'll start putting in the text. This is probably our H1, so this is gonna be bigger font size. So I'm setting it at 32. Okay, you can see here's our grid. So the text is aligned to the left of the grid. Okay. Okay, I think this is good format. Now we are adding our subtext. So this is definitely going to be smaller. Maybe set it at 14, and then I'm thinking I should be making this regular, but not sure. Yeah, so let me try to make it regular and let's see how it looks. I think it's okay being regular. Now I just need to like create a box for the image. So I'm gonna copy another call to action button here. I noticed I didn't copy it. I'm just gonna drag it back there again a bit. But here I am grouping the items on the main slider. I should just drag this button again. So this is the way to copy it, like Alt and then drag. That's it. Change the content. See, when I changed the Go Premium to Watch Now, as I was typing, it was just scaling automatically. So that's the purpose of auto layout in button. So it automatically just increases or decreases the width you type. Okay, now I'm duplicating the rectangle as you see. So I'm gonna have like a main background. And then this is the rectangle where I pasted the image. So I'm just gonna demo it back. So best thing is you just drag an image in canvas, then copy it to the box you have set for the image. Faster way is to just drag it on the box, but I always maintain like a main background. I want to set a color on the background as well, so to blend with the main image. Then I'm gonna like create another rectangle or a box top, which is for our overlay shade that we need to put, the darker shade that we need to put on top of our image. Be like a gradient. So it's gradient from left to right. Just gonna drag the gradient. Okay, that's it. See, that's too black. And change our text into white. Again, we pick the white that we already have on our styles. We don't like use the FF text. In here, it's like deep black. So what I'm going to do is, instead of the black, I'm just gonna select a color again that is from our main color, and then just slide it a bit darker. So as you can see, like it's not pure black, it's a darker shade of the main color that we have. That's it. Looks much better, way better than using deep black. So this text is more like a tag, which we can use the accent color here. So far our colors are like monochromatic. I think it's now time to do something about the logo that we have. Or like create a logo. Or should I just name it Learn? Learn online, or if you're following, you can name it whatever name you want for your project. Actually, but for me, I'm just gonna use Learn. Gonna stretch it out a bit. Even you can create a nicer logo than this one. Yeah, I'm not too sure about the L. Maybe Learn online, or I'm gonna add another line on top just to stylize our logo a bit. Again, pick one of the colors that we have. There's nothing fancy about creating this logo. I'm just putting this up as so that we have something up there, but you can definitely create something better than this one. I think it's fine. This is what's good about using the color styles, is that when you change it, it changes all of the colors across your artboard or your frame, which using that same style. So you don't need to like go to each one and then change it. See, Okay, that's it. I think our hero slider looks good now. We just add these elements to make it really look like a slider. You can use circles too. You can use arrows. I think that's it for our hero image or hero slider and then our header. I'm just tinkering with the logo now. Alright, I think that's it for our logo and our top element. Now we need to start creating elements in the middle of the page. Basically, we're gonna set like a section title here. This is probably our H2 when we set it into styles. So it's a bit smaller than H1. Not even sure if it should be bold or black, but yeah, the font that we chose has only 3 styles. At least I have 3 styles of it. Then copy our CTA or our call to action button. This button will have a different property because it needs to be like a secondary looking button. So we're setting the blacks here for the text and create a new style for a black color. Okay, so we now have a black, white, an accent color, and the shades of our main color. So yeah, the CTA needs to be something maybe without the background. And then we set the stroke for it black. This should be our secondary button. Okay, now it's time to create the card. So this is gonna be the box for the card, the main background for it. So our card, we were planning on putting up 4 cards on one row, so it's gonna be 3 columns. That's why it's at 3 columns of grid. Then we duplicate the card background to make it again a placeholder for the image. Should be 250 because that's what our grid on 3 columns. But if you're using a different grid, it's not like 250. But just make sure it fits on 3 columns. I'm just gonna set a main background on the entire section of the page here, so it's like grayish, so that our card will have a white background. So this is a new gray that we have, so it's not in our style yet. So you're just gonna darken the previous grays that we had. Again, as you start to notice that you're using new colors, then you need to like start adding them. I mean your color style. So here I'm just creating the new grays that we have. That's it. And let's go back to the card. this text needs to be like regular because these are like copy text. You can even set it at 12 pixels. So this should be same size and aligned to the right. Okay, both elements are now 10 pixels to the margins. You type more text, it extends on the side. So that's what we want. So that's why we aligned it on the right side. Okay. Now we're going to add the title of the lesson or the card. So this needs to be a bit bolder. So we know that our card is 250 in width. One other way to do it is to set our element, this new element, into 250. Align it in the left, make it in 250, and then subtract the padding that you want. So like I removed 20 pixels so that it's both 10 and 10. Alright, I think our card is taking shape now. We just need to add image and then possibly a shadow and then a rounded circle. Okay, so I just copied the image. And then on the main card background, I have set a round border radius. So the image, I'm going to set a border radius on top left and top right too. See there. You can actually also like make it as a mask, but for me it's a bit complicated. I'm just going to set the same border radius as the card background with that of the image holder. So I'm gonna add a bit of drop shadow. Drop shadows need to be very thin, so blur it more, but yeah, and even less opacity. That's it. I think I'm okay with this one. Now we're gonna group the elements in our card. We're going to create it as a main component or a parent component. I'm gonna drag this element below. There you go. We now have a card component. Just gonna look for a bookmark. Drag it in. Yeah, I think that's the one missing element. Again, we're not gonna use the black that's in hex, but the black within our styles. Gonna tidy all elements up. Make sure to do this as you go so that your colors are a bit more controlled. Yeah. There you go. I think I'm quite happy with the template card, so we're just gonna duplicate it across. Make 3 copies of it. Turn on the grid again. I know that our gutters are 20 pixels, so yeah. duplicate it and move the main component or the parent template of the card out, as well as this section title and call to action button. So I just duplicated it and moved the main ones. So if you see in your project now, you have set the color styles and a few templates like components. This is how I normally develop. As I go along, I start creating the assets or the style sheet that are going to be used in the project. At this stage, we're just going to put in text and images. Again, these images and text that are used, we just copied this from Skillshare. They own the rights to these images as well as the copy. We're just demonstrating it here for educational purposes. I think that's it. Again, you can use a different style for the slide count here. You can also use arrows on the left and the right, or circles, or these little pills for slide counters. Looks odd, so I think the best way is to select the rectangles within and then set the individual widths together, then reduce the space. That's it. Much better. And then centralize it on the frame. I think this is fine now. I'm just gonna group these elements together. Name it as a section. So we can copy it. Or even you can create another main component. So the component for example, this is a different section. I'm gonna change the title. I don't think I'm gonna change the images or text of that section. But if you are like creating a proper mock-up stand through your client, it is best to use like different images, not like duplicate. So I think that's it. And maybe we'll try to do some animation on the card over. Okay, because these cards meant to have like a play button when you hover on them. Not sure how I'm gonna do it, so anyway, let's just start creating. So I'm gonna create this play icon, a video play icon. So as you can see, we are going to like put it over our main card. So that's what's good about having main components. You can see this card, this is the main component. If we're just gonna add or edit it, then it will reflect on all the child components. We don't need to like edit all of them one by one. So yeah, I'm just trying to create a play button here. I'm planning to like overlay this frame top of, or we hover over it, but I just realized that we actually need like a full square because we need like an overlay gradient. So the other frame that we're overlaying on the card is not just the video play icon, but it needs to be an overlay. Like this whole set we're creating now. It should be this full square with the play icon plus the overlay. I hope you're still catching up. Basically, we're just gonna create like fake overlay on top of the image as we hover. So yes, we're gonna create this one with a gradient. That's it. The frame needs to have a transparent background, so this is how I normally create my play icons. I know there are better ways to do it. I just do it this way. You can even just grab a new icon, again, Iconify. There you go. I removed. That's how we want it. We just need to decrease the amount of the overlay. Now it's time to prototype it. So basically we're gonna add an interaction that is on hover on the card. We're gonna select the card, we're gonna add an interaction. So it should be while hovering or mouse enter, no mouse, yeah, but while hovering should be okay. And then instead of navigate to, it should be an open overlay. And top and center. That's it. You can see all the child components or the child cards automatically have the same prototype behavior. So this is our card. By itself it looks good. Over it, the animation is starting to show. I think we need to reduce the overlay a bit more. And I think the animation to be, it's now instant, so we need to have it like dissolve, that it fades. This one's better. And that's it. Now we try to make this artboard as our main starting point for. So there you go. But as you can see, as we hover on the card, the play icon is on top. This is because we have set it as top center. It's not top center on the card, but top center on our main frame. So what we should do is we make it as manual, so it sticks on the frame, on the card, not on our main page. So this should fix it. There you go. So when we hover on the individual card, the fake overlay just finds that card. That's it. I think we're done creating our page. Thanks for watching.